Welcome everyone to the February 1st Helm Weekly Developer Meeting. Um, just a reminder, this is a CNCF project space, so please be respectful to each other. I think our agenda is pretty short today, so no announcements unless anyone has anything to add. Scott actually just put the meeting notes into the chat, so if anyone didn't have that already, there it is. Scott, since you have the one item that we have on the agenda right now, do you want to go first?
Sure. And I know that there's another item that, George, do you want me to put that on there? I don't know if you have the notes handy.
I was digging up the notes link and I have it. So I'm just editing it now.
Oh, cool, perfect. Okay, great. So we know we have another topic at least too. Okay, so yes. Thanks, Karen. There is sorry that it's taking me a while to open this. There we go. So there's this, oh, come on, really? I have the link, I just can't open. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there is, I guess I just wanted to open this up, and I know this relates to the next topic about Helm values, but there seem to be a number of people, well, there are a handful of people, I just want to like clarify this, who are trying to like reconcile in their minds which versions of Helm are had breaking changes and which ones fixed them. And my thought was that it was actually just the 3.13 version that was an accidental break, and that 3.14 fixed it. That was kind of like my high level narrative that seemed to be correct based on all the issues. But I'm not sure that that's 100% the case. And so I just wanted to bring this up. Kingdon, excuse me, Barrett consolidated a lot of the issues that specifically relate to this. And they just so happen to relate, many of them happen to relate to the Helm values stuff. So that's a separate conversation. But I just wanted to bring this up because I know, Matt, you've like done a lot of work to like fix that. And I just wanted to see if there was any sort of gaps we actually missed, or if we can just kind of like respond to them and say, what you're thinking is wrong, and here's how you can fix it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been broken, and we've had complaints about this system for years. If you knew some deep, dark magic, you could find bugs in there. These were always considered bugs in the system that had accumulated over time, and they were considered bugs. And it looks like people were doing that. Now, did we introduce some other bugs along the way that need to be fixed? Maybe. And the hard part is you just have people using a very buggy part of Helm.
Yeah.
And fixing some bugs may have introduced others, and we need to go dig through those, add tests, and fix them. And so I can understand people being upset, and we haven't had enough people who've been focused on getting this fixed that I can understand it not being fixed in a timely manner, and it's bothersome to some folks. So dedicating some time here is probably a good idea.
Yeah, cool. So this one is, so I think we have an agenda item specifically to do that, and there's some work that like George and I did to put together like just some outline stuff, and I know we brought it up in a past meeting, and George very recently, like, anyway, that's the next topic. Got some more recent stuff together with all this, so it might be able to help us like organize it a little bit and like make it sensible. But I think this topic right now, what I'm thinking about like kind of specifically the messaging to folks and how, I mean, I was going to just respond, but then I realized, I really need to talk with like, I really should talk in this dev meeting about this, because I know a lot of work has already been done in comments to people and releases and all of that. And I was just thinking, how do we, I guess my question is, Matt, do you think it would be helpful for me to pretty much just summarize what you just said and comment with that and say, hey, just so you know, we're all working on this, and
Sure.
if you want to follow that, here's the issue for that, or here's the
Sure.
Google Doc in progress.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, I think that's it then for that part.
The only comment I could make after seeing some of these tickets is some of these things, like Matt says, are really someone's found some exotic behavior in Helm and have utilized that. And when I say exotic, I mean buggy. Others are genuine bugs that probably should be fixed. So you might just want to like nuance the message based on who you think you're talking to.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the part that's a little bit difficult for me, is because we're trying to reason that out in this document. Because it's become fairly confusing. I know there's like just several different issues to piece out, you know? Yeah.
We can, yeah. Maybe it's worth going to the next one then, because that is going to discuss explicitly that.
Yeah, so I just put down the topic for you, or for me and you, George, and I guess it's really, I think, like me, you, and Matt largely to talk about, but if other people are have thoughts about this, I'm just gonna share the link. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm. I can share my screen too.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. And Karen, thanks for helping take notes while I was running my mouth.
So there's a bunch of issues. Me and Scott started talking about this a wee while back, and it kind of came from, there was your PRs to fix, Matt. Then there's all these issues here relate to that subcharts. When a null is propagated to a subchart values, those values don't get removed. There's some guys dug up some weird case around global values. And then there's the kind of the fallout from, not the fallout, but the effect of people complaining about behavioral changes from these PRs, I think, is kind of these ones where people are saying, well, I had a chart and now it doesn't work, which is like the ordering. So after kind of like looking at all of these, the thought was, well, let's kind of go and write down what we think the behavior is, or should be, and then kind of go back to like the first principles. Otherwise, you start to look at these tickets, and I start to go into that police function, and I can read the code, I can understand what it's doing by line, but I at the end of the day, I don't actually have like a good picture as to what the actual behaviors should be in totality. So I could probably go find a fix for, say, the no value removal, but it's hard to know whether I'd be breaking something else. And maybe I get lucky and the unit test will tell me that I'm breaking something else, but at the end of the day, it's still hard to know. So the goal was to write down what the values behaviors should be. So this is my understanding. I don't know if it's right. So that'd be the first thing, would be to, if anybody has time, or especially you, Matt, I guess, has time to look at these and make comments as to whether you think I've got this right.
Yeah, and just like to put like a note on that. It's what is the intended behavior, and specifically, how do we know? You know, so I think like that's something that has to be determined by maintainers, because we have things to draw from. We have the actual code, what it does, but since you said, like Matt, we said like a lot of it has been buggy for years, so we can't exactly draw from that. The tests have all been passing, so we can't draw just from our tests. So I think that's part of it, is like we just need to kind of like, some of it we can draw from our docs. Some of it's spelled out in the docs, but some of the docs are wrong. Like it says that you know child charts can't affect parent charts, but yet you can with the import values function. So I think it's kind of just like really defining these things, and that's all I wanted to say about it. And then saying, and then messaging that and making that really clear that this is now fully defined, or yeah, keeping in mind past behavior, bugs, and intended behavior.
You muted, Matt.
Yeah, I agree. Writing this all down is the best way to get started with it, because then we can reconcile everything to the way it should be. I can give this what's already written up a once over and poke at it. I'll try to get to it before the weekend. But I can go ahead and give it a once over and look at some of my other notes and stuff to make sure that I even get it right. Because some of this functionality, it predates me, or I haven't looked at it in so long that I don't remember. I don't actually use, so a bunch of this nested behavior I don't personally use, which makes it difficult to reconcile. I don't run into the issues and stuff on it. So I'm gonna have to go look it up and see what's going on.
That's where I was at with the import values. I've personally never I've never done it. So that's but I know people use it. And my understanding is like that's the point of it is somehow so that parent charts can get something that's dynamically created by children charts. There's some values that are dynamically created by the children's charts because they would need it for some reason. And there is also the question about globals here. Like George and I were talking last night about like what is ultimately the difference between globals and using the keys of either the chart or the child chart name or alias, and then the values from the parent chart. And as far as I know, it's really just a way to save you some keys or save you a little bit of YAML if you have like a bunch of dependencies in a chart and you set the same value like 8 times, you can just do it once in a global.
Yeah, and that's really where globals come in. There's different use cases for problems you need to solve, right? Yeah. Like say you've got, charts and nested subcharts, right? And say you expect them all the images to come out of Docker Hub and you have the registry set, right? Mm-hmm. Now say you're going to change all of that to a private registry. To be able to affect one global that affects the private registry for all of them, significantly different than doing a collection, especially if you're going to use that same method across dozens of different charts and combinations. Think of something like the Bitnami set or somebody doing something like that. They've got all these charts used together in different dependency combinations, and now they need to change the registry. You can't build tooling on top of that can easily do it unless you have one common pattern. That one common pattern can't know every chart structure and every sub thing, but a global makes that possible because you can set it and it's just used everywhere. There's situations like this that are use cases
I see what you
that
mean.
make sense in this case.
By
right?
recursive globals, because the parent global would take over the child global.
Yep. Yeah, and so you can do things like that to pass in. And these are the kinds of things that can make a difference as you structure things, and then what kind of tooling you're going to build on top of it in processes and even documentation around that. And so collecting some of those use cases can help explain why things are the way they are when you actually look at how we use these things.
Exactly. Okay, yeah. So this doc has a use cases section that's not filled out.
Okay.
And then
I can review this and start to add to it. Okay. Writing things is something I enjoy doing. So I will try to get to this document before the end of this week and add a bunch of details just to explain more. I love that this is being captured here. So
thanks so much, Matt, and thanks, George. And I just want to draw your attention to one other thing in here because it was a little bit like, what are you even talking about? But there's, I think we should document the reserved keywords. And some of that I wrote down some examples. I would just like your opinion on that, Matt, because I think that's one area that we've just kind of had a gap on entirely.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, so this document's not super well formed, but I care more about getting the content in there rather than the exact logical ordering of the of the document, maybe. So yeah, any contribution is welcome, please. Cool. That's probably for this one. I think it's takeaways to review the doc.
Yeah, just wanted to ask one question on this. Is this? Oh, it's Evans here. Is this global's subject documented in the docs? Is it this subchart and global values? That's it. Just for context.
Yep, they are. In two places, and the different places have slightly different sets of information. But yeah, they're in, it's in there. It's probably a good thing actually we could add to the doc, was we could add links to the docs. Scott, I will try and dig some stuff up.
Cool. Thank you.
Sorry, was that Evans that?
Yes, that was me. Yes.
And just so just so I'm not like totally butchering what you were trying to say. Ultimately, were you asking about like just like identifying the places in the docs that need to be updated based on this, or did I?
Yes, and also while reconciling this, ensure that the docs and what comes out of the output of that document and what it says are the same.
Yeah.
At least communicate the same thing.
Yep. Thanks.
I have the next one as well if you want me to. I'll go quickly on this one. Share my screen again.
The next what?
The agenda item, is that there?
No.
Oh, I think you put the discussion under January 25th.
Oh.
That's why.
Oh shoot.
I mean, not you, Karen, but I mean George. I think the topics, you put the topics under January 25th as opposed to February 1st. That's why I added the.
Shoot, I scrolled to the wrong spot. Let me yeah. My item is now there. Twice for that one. So okay. Sorry about that. Confusion. So I did want to have this one on the agenda as well, if that's okay. So the basic problem with this is that this PR here introduced validation for chart.yaml. And that, say this example here, Baz is used twice as an alias, so that should be invalid. The problem is that chart.yaml is embedded in index.yaml for repositories, and JFrog, being a popular repository, doesn't store the alias field. So what happens is when people are pulling charts from JFrog, they get a whole bunch of incomplete results because Helm is rejecting the index the items in index.yaml which have invalid chart.yamls. So this is obviously a little awkward. I said I'd raise this because this change has broken these users effectively.
Yeah, we totally need to fix it. And now we've got an example repository of one that can fix it. Is there a pull request to fix it? Is it just remove the other change for validation? Is there a pull request that can still fix it? Or?
So I haven't looked at this PR at all.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks like there's something I can sort. Yeah. So my first question here is like,
No. We should fix this because I mean, they have a working legit thing. We tried to mean well and we missed something in our testing. We didn't think about index.yaml and how this was going to impact some of the other things. Oops. So let's go back and see about getting a fix out for this.
Okay, I will coordinate that.
Sweet.
All right, I see Scott adding notes. Does anyone else have anything to add to the agenda? We can go back to announcements. If anyone has anything. Otherwise, I'm gonna do assignments right now for the next call. Can we get volunteers for moderator notes, issue triage, PR review? I will
Was it
not be
your-
on the call next week, so.
Was it your hand up, Evans?
Yeah, I had one quick question. I
Oh.
can't edit the doc and I don't know how to raise something. So
Um,
anyway, it's more of a question. I think in the 25th in the meeting on the 25th, Scott said that they've been having meetings on Helm 4. So just wondering where that is, and is that open or is it more of a smaller group of folks?
Sorry.
We really haven't been meeting a lot on Helm 4 right now. We've had some discussions here and in a couple other places. And so we haven't done a whole lot of meeting on Helm 4 right now.
Okay.
Right. So just starting to do that, like this is one of the things I think you were away, Matt. It's not really a big change, except for we just started putting it on the calendar.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the only thing. So yeah, exactly what Matt said, except just one tiny note that basically a few of us are kind of like, anybody can join. We're just going to go ahead and start meeting to hear ideas and to write them down and to think about that.
Cool. That's all for me.
And that is, I think we put that in last
Meeting.
week's
Yeah.
discussion, Fridays at 3 p.m. EST. And if there's a better, so for example, if Matt, if you're like, hey, I definitely want to join these, but I'm not free Friday at 3 p.m. EST, we can change it. But right now that's what we just put on the calendar, and it's just the same meeting credentials, like just the same Zoom.
Where is this meeting at? I guess I didn't follow.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I think you were not there. This was just last week, so
Okay.
it's not like a big huge thing you missed. It's we just picked a day and time to have a regular meetup for
When is it?
a regular chat. Fridays at 3 p.m. EST. This same Zoom.
Half an hour or an hour?
Hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
I scheduled the one this week. I can add you to if you want.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we have 2 calendar items for it. I think Andy, you made one too.
Yeah, because
Is it
Yeah,
a weekly meeting?
we can use yours if you want, as long as you open it up so anyone can edit it.
yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Is it weekly at that time on Fridays?
I didn't set it, but I can set it.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm just.
Yes.
Yep. I'll enable it. Give me a second.
And again, if that time is, if it's like too long, or if it doesn't work, or if we need to move it or change it, we can do that. But we know people are interested, and they just don't know exactly how to contribute their ideas. So thinking that just putting something on the calendar where we can listen would be good, because these meetings, we usually fill them with other things that we need to do operationally.
Leo.
All right, can we go back to assignments for the next call?
I
I
can
can,
moderate if no one else wants to.
I was gonna say I can moderate as well.
Oh yeah, George, do it.
Okay.
I can take notes again, or actually I can actually take notes this time. More.
You stick me down for issue triage as well. I can, when I go on the train, I just like go to that issue list and answer people's questions.
Yeah, I
Is
can.
anyone available for peer review? Otherwise, I'll leave it blank.
Also, it doesn't have to be core maintainers that are working on PR review. We can get, like, anyone who wants to help with PR review can do that if you want to volunteer for it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I could try maybe take
Awesome.
a look at a PR or two, a simple one.
Awesome. Ping me on Slack if you don't immediately find what you're looking for, or feel free to.
Will
Yeah,
do.
me as well. I'm generally around.
Cool. Will do.
All right, cool. We're done with today's call then. See everyone soon. I won't be here next week, so see you the week after. Cool. Thanks all.